tomato is growing a poison. It's a secondary metabolite. And so the two substances that I looked at was, tomatolectins and saponins. So you have these glycoalkaloid poisons, which fat accumulate. There are steroidal structured molecules. It looks a bit like cholesterol with something hanging off the top. And these things are membrane disruptors. So when they go into your gut, they are able to disrupt the membrane of the epithelium. It's there specifically to form that relationship between the animal population that eats it, and it's there specifically to alter the vigor of an animal in order to tune the populations that eat the tomato. We have this kind of connectivity between the plants and the animal kingdom. Tomatoes, they're a cash crop. They grow almost everywhere. Huge volumes of these things are grown. They can be grown and stored immature for months, and then they can be ripened with ethylene gas. They have an umami flavor, which is pleasant for us. So it's a massive commercial crop. So it's a food of commerce. And a food of commerce, as we discussed in the last podcast, not necessarily the food of health. Around 50 to 70% of the nitrogen that's in the protein in anyone's body comes out of a factory. It's wild. Around 1915, you have this invention of what's called the Haber process.
Well, go more into this process. Is this how we get the NPK fertilizer?
Once you produce this fertilizer, it's just small amounts of phosphorus and potassium and large amounts of this ammonium nitrate. You throw it onto land that's not even arable, and you just have huge yields of plant material. And the other thing is that the biosphere has always been about the same size. It hasn't really grown for millions of years. It's stayed more or less static. What we've done now, with this invention of the Haber process, we actually can fix nitrogen directly, synthetically, out of the air and pump it into the human biosphere. This is done through the production of synthetic fertilizers through the Haber-Bosch process. Most of this yield doesn't go to feed humans directly. They actually use it to feed animals and feedlots. If you're eating industrial foods, meat or plants, you're exposed to this industrial production, and your protein is going to come out of this factory and be incorporated to your body. We are now producing hundreds of millions of tons of this material that gets pumped into the human biosphere. What's happened is that's resulted in a population explosion.